As I was told in medical school, it's a pharmacological fact, use a synthetic anything. It's an insult to the body. So synthetic is synthetic. Schrodinger told us that we need life force, a negative entropy to live. And we know that to get a patent, you must prove that your substance is unnatural, not of nature. And as we get more and more unnatural drugs, the death rate from drugs goes up and up. Today is more of a personal story about morning sickness pills.
There are new questions tonight about a medication used by millions of women every year to help with morning sickness.
Thalidomide is a drug that was created by the West German company Chemie Grunenthal in 1954. First marketed under the name Countergen, the drug was mainly prescribed as a sedative or sleeping pill, but it also claimed to cure an assortment of problems including morning sickness in pregnant women. Shortly after being sold over the counter in October of 1957, 5,000 to 7,000 children around Western Germany were born with deformities, including a disorder called phocomelia. Phocomelia is a birth defect received through genetics or through the use of certain drugs and causes malformations in the limbs and other parts of the body. Phocomelia that's caused due to the use of drugs or pharmaceuticals is known as thalidomide syndrome.
Yes, the thalidomide was shown to have effects on DNA, and children were born with horrific deformities. Many of them just had learning disabilities, autism. They re-engineered the drug as Bendectine. And this was sent out into the world and created problems that resulted in court cases.
Drug manufacturer Merrill Dow Pharmaceuticals developed a breakthrough pregnancy drug called Bendectine. Over 33 million women worldwide used Bendectine to soothe the symptoms of morning sickness. But a number of women taking Bendectine gave birth to children with severe deformities. Lawsuits brought by families who blamed Bendectine for the defects became so numerous and expensive that Merrill Dow took the drug off the market in 1983.
My son Daniel was a Bendectine baby, and we were brought into the lawsuit against Merrill Dow because he was autistic. We found out that there was all kinds of children who had become autistic because of chemicals, because of drugs. And it was getting worse and worse as there were more and more drugs, more and more synthetic chemicals coming into the market. A product is defective when it doesn't do what it is manufactured or designed to do. You must be able to prove that you use the product as intended and that that defect caused you harm. You have to show the damages. But for the drug companies, it's a different type of law. For the drug liability, you must prove that there was no warning given and the manufacturer knew of the potential harm and sold it anyways. Now, as we went into the case, and we presented all different types of evidence of literally thousands of cases of extreme deformities, as I'm showing you here in the pictures, but also as all types of evidence of subtle deformities, such as autism, learning disabilities. We're able to show that many of these drugs, these so-called morning sickness pills, had altering effects on the DNA and produced genetic disturbances, as we see here. This was horrific. It needed to be stopped. So we had to get to the court and be able to do this. And in Cincinnati, Ohio, the home of Merrill Dow, we came up with the final verdict. And there in the court, it was ruled that there was no conclusive proof that Merrill Dow knew that their drug caused those disturbances. In fact, in 1986, there also was a National Child Vaccine Act that made it impossible for you to sue vaccine manufacturers, even though there was damages. The case against the manufacturers of Bendectine went on, and a couple of people took it all the way to the Supreme Court. In the lower courts, the Frye test was used, which meant that expert testimony had to be generally accepted by the entire group of experts.
Had generally excluded new, cutting-edge scientific methods that may not have yet been generally accepted. But the federal rules of evidence superseded the common law rule and opened the door for the evidentiary use of new scientific techniques. Justice Blackmun went on to provide guidance in applying Rule 702. Expert testimony must be rooted in valid scientific methods that can produce consistent, reliable results. General acceptance, while instructive, was not necessary. The Daubert decision overruled the common law Frye test for admitting scientific expert testimony. By establishing the primacy of the federal rules of evidence, Daubert opened the door for new techniques, both scientific and otherwise, to be used in federal cases.
The rules of evidence were changed to allow expert testimony in a different way, to allow cutting-edge testimony to come in. So that were changed, but still there was problems with these drugs.
There are new questions tonight about a medication used by millions of women every year to help with morning sickness. Diclegis is one of the most popular drugs used to treat nausea during pregnancy. A study out today, though, suggests there is no definitive evidence that it really helps. In fact, it shows that modern mothers-to-be have been relying on 40-year-old information. CTV's medical specialist Davis Favreau has that story.
When pregnant women suffer morning sickness, doctors often prescribe this, Diclegis, to ease nausea and vomiting. But this researcher has unearthed unpublished original data on the drug and says there were so many flaws, there's no proof it actually works.
It's disappointing that this information that was generated in the 1970s is only being made publicly available now.
Some 2,300 pregnant women were enrolled in the 1975 study, which was never published. The new analysis found data was missing or incomplete, and over a third of the women never finished the study.
This trial was the main basis for Health Canada's decision that the medication is effective. Health Canada's decision to approve this medication should be revisited.
But Jen Madden has been on sick leave for the past month because of nausea and vomiting, and yes, she takes Diclegis, though it hasn't stopped her symptoms. She says she has no other option.
Yes, this woman felt that there was no other choice, that she had to take a prescription drug. She did not understand that there are many natural methods. In fact, wild ginger has been shown far superior. Many people don't get results from those different types of drugs. But yet what we find is that conclusively these natural remedies do really work for many people. Nothing works for everybody. But by the time you try a couple of these natural remedies, you usually find that one of them will work for your morning sickness. And you won't have to take that dangerous synthetic, synthetic pill.
This new discussion about Diclegis is part of an international effort to take a closer look at old or unpublished research. The goal is to give doctors and patients more information about the drugs they are using.
And Kim Kardashian got advertising money when she supported this formula for morning sickness, and she did it on Facebook without providing all the warnings. Of course, she was not an employee of the company, so it helped protect the company.
Just over a year ago, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration rebuked the drug maker when reality TV star Kim Kardashian endorsed Diclegis on social media to her 100 million followers without proper warnings about medical risks. Kardashian was ordered to delete those posts.
Well, my son Daniel still has some of these effects, and it made me think. I had to wonder, how did this drug get into the market? So I started to look at all of the synthetic compounds, and I saw that there was no life force. And as I looked more and more deeply into the literature, deep into the research, I was shocked. I found out that all of these synthetic drugs not just create side effects, but they do damages to different processes. There's addiction, there's dependencies. It is very true that a synthetic anything is an insult to the body. The body knows that it's not real. Anything synthetic is synthetic. And we really should use them as a last resort. Natural medicines should always be used first, before we have to resort to using synthetics as a last resort.